guys, welcome back to a bit of maths. Today we're going to look at divided by 4. I'm going to try to hopefully show you some hints and tips, as it says right there, that will help you figure out how to manage your divided by 4s. So the first thing is to really get your head around the basic facts. And so divided by is really just your times tables reversed. The nice thing with that is that you can start to figure out your divided bys by doing your basic facts back to front. So for example, something divided by 4 will give you 1. In this case it's going to be 4, of course, and so you can carry those on as you go. Something divided by 4 will give you 2, and so on like that. Now, if you remember your basic facts that you've done already when you were learning your times tables earlier on in the year or at other times like that, you'll remember that 1 times 4 is 4, 2 times 4 is 8, working backwards. So therefore, if you know what you want and you've already learnt your times tables, you can very, very quickly fill these in. We know the answers already. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So, how do we work this out? Well, we can go, because we know these are in this family of facts, they're reversible. For example, you also know that 4 times 1 equals 4. We can just use that to help our basic facts. So the next one in the sequence is 16. 16 divided by 4 is 4. And now you've started to see this pattern here too. As we go along, the answers are 1, 2, 3, 4. Next one is 20. So 20 chopped into 4 parts gives you 5. So rather than you sitting here watching me do all of these out, have a go for yourself. Practice, see how it looks. I'll just pause it for a while and see if you can work them out for yourself. Okay, so hopefully you had a chance to go through that yourself, and you'll have noticed some patterns as you go. When we're dividing by 4, the answers resemble the skip counting of 4 that you get. So we can use that as well, and I'll show you that in a second. But just when you're about the business of memorizing your 4 times tables, most of them are fairly straightforward, so you can eliminate them straight away. And this is something we do in the times tables as well. So we don't need that one, 4 divided by 4. We know it's 1. This one is just a half, so that's easy, right? 12 divided by 4, that's worth remembering. For some people that's hard. 16 divided by 4. 20 divided by 4, that's in your 5 times table, so that's nice and easy. 24 divided by 4, that's worth remembering. This one catches people out. That's one to pay a bit of attention to. This one you can use your 9 times table to figure out. It's not too bad, but we'll have a look at it anyway. 40 divided by 4, super easy, hardly even need thinking about. 44 divided by 4, you know as soon as you see that double number there that it's going to be divided by 11, so super easy. And 48 divided by 4, well, I think we'll have a look at that one as well, but it is also reasonably easy when you think about it. Also, when you're memorizing the whole lot, the biggest number you see, you know that's going to be divided by 12, so that's a bit of a hint to get you going. So, what are we left with? 12 divided by 4 is 3, or 3 times 4 is 12. This is the square. 4 times 4 is 12. Is 16, beg your pardon. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 24, this is one that comes up all the time. It's a number that appears in lots and lots of maths equations. For some reason, I think it's because it has an awful lot of components, a lot of ways for it to make that number. 28 is unique to 4 and 7, so that's maybe it'll help you remember it. For me, I don't find that one as too bad, because if you think of double 7 as 14 and double 14 as 28, you can see how those numbers are all kind of related. So that's worth sort of keeping in the back of your mind. This one seems tricky for people, I think, because 32 seems like an unlikely number to be in the divided by 4s. So make a point of remembering that one. 32 divided by 4 is 8. 32 chopped into 4 parts gives you 8 in each segment. Or if I was to swap it around, if I was to take 32 and chop it into 8 bits, it would give me 4 in each of those parts. Play with the numbers, but for some reason 32 is hard for people, so that's the one I would focus on in the meantime. 36, you know it's in the 9 times table because it's 2 digits add up to 9. That's a clue for you. So if you're saying 36 divided by 4, 3 and 6 is 9, there's your answer. Ta-da! And then 48 divided by 12. Well, if you look at it carefully, you can see that 48 is made out of 40 plus 8, and they're both in the easy categories, aren't they? 40 divided by 4 is 10, 8 divided by 4 is 2. So if you add those together, 10 and 2, 12. So that then becomes an easy one, even though it looks hard to start with. So that's a really good sort of way to practice, and you end up with only a few that you really need to practice hard to keep up with your times tables. So what next? What if I'm stuck? Well, sometimes this little guy here will help you. It's just a plain old-fashioned ruler. Nothing fancy at all. See if I can make it a bit easier for you to see there. What happens if I'm stuck and I want to figure out my divided by? So you can use this to help you up to a certain point. So for example, somebody said to me, 28 divided by 4, a bit stuck. Well, I can start with the 28 over here, and I can count back in 4s. Now remember to count the spaces, not the bars. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like this. And what you're doing there is skip counting back in 4s. Like that. Now all I have to do is count how many leaps I've made to get all the way back. And the clever amongst you will have figured this out already. But I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the maths there, if that was written down as a maths equation, of course it would be 28 chopped into 4 gives me 7. Also, 28 divided by 7 gives me 4. Each of those leaps is worth 4, isn't it? 4 centimetres in this case. So that's a handy little tip you can use. Now obviously, you've only got rulers that go up to 30. What happens if it is 32 divided by 4? Well, then you might have to borrow another ruler, or you could use the meter rulers that you can find in most classrooms. But for me, the easiest way to get your head around the basic ones is just to memorize them. Go back to these ones over and over again. Keep trying. Practice the ones that you find the hardest. That instant recall is going to help you the most with either times tables or divided bys. Okay. Are there other ways to solve divided by 4s other than just remembering them all? Yes, there are. So bear with me, I'll come right back. Here's a little trick that works for some numbers, particularly if the sum number has lots and lots of even numbers in it. What do you mean, Mr. M? Well, it goes a bit like this. Say I wanted to divide 486 by 4. 486 divided by 4. This is a number that lends itself to the half and half strategy. And I'll show you how that works. So have a think about that. Each of these numbers you can easily half without even really thinking about it too hard, because they're all even numbers, right? So half of 4 is 2, 4, 3. And then all I have to do there is find out what half of that is to get my answer for what is 486 divided by 4. I'm halving the half. Now, my sticky point here is the 3, of course, but that's okay. We can, we know that an odd number like that is going to give you a 0.5 in this case. So we'll just do that straight away and then think of that as 2. We know that half of 3 is 1.5. Half of 4 is 2. Half of 1 is 2. So our halving the half strategy gives us 121.5. Works, like I say, for some numbers. Other ones it's actually easier to do another trick, and I'll show you that in a minute. But this is just a handy one that you can do in your head without another piece of paper. I'll see if I can find you another example. Just bear with me. Okay, so we're looking at this one here. 1,228 divided by 4, chopping that up into 4 bits. Well, can we halve that? Yes, we totally can. Sometimes it's easier to look at a block of numbers. I could go half of 8, half of 2, half of 2. But then I'm stuck with this 1 over here. So instead I'm going to look at half of 28 and say, well, that's 14. Half of 12 is 6. And I get my half straight away. Can I half that? Yes, I can. Same sort of thing. If I look at these two numbers together, I can say that's 0, 7. And then half of 6 would be 3. So my answer, 307, totally makes sense. If I was to separate that, so that there was 1200, you'd say, well, that half of that is 600, half of that is 300. 28, half of that is 14, half of that is 7. So it totally makes sense whichever way you look at it. But after a while, you don't need to write this down. You could look at that and go, oh yes, I can figure what half of that is and half of it again. So that's a good mental strategy that you can use sometimes if you come across large numbers in the wild that you have to divide by 4. So that's quite a handy little trick you can use. What I would recommend is having a little practice with it from time to time. There is a worksheet that is available with this video that has some of that sort of stuff on it too, so you can have a try for yourself. Now, what I really want to show you is how to divide any number by 4. Right, let's have a look at this then. Just wanted to cover one really quick thing. When we're dividing by 4, there's other ways to think of it too, and I just wanted to really quickly go over that so that there's a good understanding of the maths of things. So when we're dividing by 4, chopping it into 4 parts, you could say it's the same as quartering it. So divided by 4 is the same as 1/4. It's also the same as 0.25. So I could multiply a number by 0.25 and it would be the same as dividing it by 4 or finding out what 1/4 of it was. Also, similarly, you could say 25% of something is the same as 1/4, is the same as dividing it by 4. Or it's the same as 0.25 of that thing. As you can see, these two are very closely related. 25, 25. These two are closely related by 4 by 4. Now, that becomes important for our next strategy, not so much through the whole process, but it does inform us when we get to messy little decimals at the end of numbers. Sometimes you have little bits left over, and in maths we call those remainders. What do you do with remainders? Well, I'm going to show you one step at a time, but just keep this idea in your head a little bit because it'll become clear how that's useful a little bit later on. But we're getting ahead of ourselves a wee bit because here's how to divide any number by 4 in a super quick and super reliable method. But it does require that you know your divided by basic facts pretty well. I'll show you what I mean. Any number at all. 397, 3,975. There we go. There's a nice juicy number. Now, none of those numbers are normally divisible by 4 in an easy way. In fact, they're all odd numbers. How is that going to work? Well, what we do is we go through these step by step, and before long you'll see that you can easily divide this number by 4, come up with a sensible answer, and then have something to do with the remainders as well. So we'll do this harder one first. We'll go back and show you how to manage some easier ones. So this is just an example one. Okay, so 4 does not fit into 3. In this case I put absolutely nothing above it. I just leave it as it is. Yay. I just sneak my 3 across there. Now that is now 39. I could leave it. I could just look at it as a whole 39. Either way works fine. You don't have to put a 3 there. I find it's helpful though, because it means that I've dealt with this one. It's gone. I've finished with it. There's nothing there. You could put 0 there. Doesn't matter if you do or you don't. Okay, 4 into 39. Now it's nearly 40, but not quite. I have to go to the one underneath. In that case, it's 36. And as we talked about before with our basic facts, 36, 3 and 6 adds up to 9. So 4 fits into 36 9 times. And I've got 3 left over. That's the remainder there again. Now, same remainder for a different reason. What I'm really looking here at is 37 sets of 10. How many times does 4 fit into 37 sets of 10? Well, again, the closest one is 36, which would give me 9. How many do I have left over? Well, that would be 37. Take away 36, gives me 1. 4 fits into 15. Not quite 16. Oh dear. Don't worry. 4 fits into 12 easily 3 times. But this time I've got 3 left over. Now I've got a few choices. I can write it either as a remainder of 3. I could say I've got 3/4 left. Or I could figure out the exact decimal. So I'm going to do that just because it's more fun. To do that, I'm going to need our little friend, Dennis the Decimal, and he can pop himself in there. Everything after that is going to be less than 1. Now, I'm going to give myself some working room here. Give myself a few zeros, see what happens. So 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 3 is 12. 15 take away 12 is 30. So I had 30 bits here. 3 left over. How many times does 4 fit into 30? It's that 7 one, isn't it? Fits in 7 times, because 7 times 4 is 28. I've got 2 left over. Now you can see where the zeros come in, because when I put my 4, when all of these remainders have got something to attach themselves to now. So I've got my 4, I'm going to say how many times does 4 fit now into 20 instead of just 0, right? Well, the closest there is, it fits in exactly 5 times. Oh, that's handy. I don't even need this extra 0. So my number there is 993.75. Oh, now hopefully you're not looking at this and thinking, oh no, it's too hard. Don't worry, I'm going to give you some easy ones to try first. If you are doing the worksheet that comes alongside this video, that will already have some of these on it, but I'm going to give you some easy ones to start with as well, and we'll work through them together. Okay, so using this method up here, have a go at these two for a start. So I'll only give you a couple because I think you'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. Do this one first, 492. Just pause the video if you need to, and we'll come back and, or when you press play again, you'll hear me give you the answer. Or if you're not sure and you need to go through it, just let it play. Either way is good. Okay, hopefully that's given you enough time to pause the video and have a go for yourself. So, might have gone something like this. 4 fits into 4 exactly once. No problem. I don't need to carry anything over. It fits precisely in. 4 fits into 9 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. I've got 1 left over. 4 fits into 12 exactly 3 times. And if you know me, you know I've got a love for cheesy numbers, so answer is 1, 2, 3. Pretty easy, right? Okay, so if you feel like you're getting the hang of it, have a go at this one here. It's only slightly trickier, but not too bad. Have a go. Okay, so coming back to this one. 4 does not fit into 1. Oh dear. So we can say the 0 there. We can do a ghost 0 if you like. We don't need to put a 0 there. It doesn't help. But what I like to do is put the 1 across there, because we've dealt with that one, but now it is 18 hundredths. How many times does 4 go into 18? Well, it doesn't fit neatly. It does fit neatly into 16. 4 times. Then there's 2 left over. 4 does go into 22, but not neatly again. It fits in 5 times with 2 left over. 4 does fit neatly into 24. 24 divided by 4, of course, is 6. And as you can see, I've done my cheesy number again. Okay, so you might be wondering, what about nasty numbers? What about ones that aren't whole or have extra little bits on the end? Well, I'm going to say don't even worry. They are not as hard as you'd think. Don't be scared of Dennis the Decimal. All he does is tell you that the numbers after that are smaller than 1. In this case, we don't even have 1. We've got 0 in the 1's place, and so what's happening there is everything we're dividing is less than 1 to start with. Still, no problem, we can use the exact same method. Here's a quick guide though to remainders. If you've got a little bit left over, if you've got to this point here and you've got a remainder of 1, it's very easy to convert it into a decimal. Because dividing by 4 is the same as quarters, is the same as 0.25. A remainder of 1 gives you 0.25, 25%, 1 quarter. A remainder of 2 gives you 0.5, which is the same as a half. As a fraction, it would look like 2/4. A remainder of 3 would give you 0.75, which makes sense because it's like 3 lots of those. So this would be the same as 1 quarter, 2 quarters, or 3 quarters. And you'll see these numbers appear in all sorts of places through maths all of the time, and so it's actually really handy to know that 0.75 is the same as 3 quarters, is the same as 75%. Anyway, let's carry on and do some of these marvellous numbers and see how we turn out with them. 4, as you know, does not fit into 1, but it fits into 12 3 times. Put the 3 there, I've got 1 left over. This is the only difference. The decimal here, we just have to notice it and put a decimal there. 4 does not fit into 17 neatly, but it does fit into 16 4 times with 1 left over. Now, this is where some of our zeros are going to come in handy. Probably don't need that many to be fair. 4 fits into 10 twice with 2 left over. You can see where this is going, right? 4 fits into 20 5 times. So 13.7 divided by 4 is going to give you 3.425. Looks hard, but actually in practice isn't that bad. Now, some of you will be saying, I don't believe you, Mr. M. This is where a handy dandy calculator comes in to prove the point. So we can say 13.7, you can check my work if you like, divided by 4, 3.425. Yay! We're on a winning one, so long as you believe the calculator. This one here. Awkward. Lots of zeros. Odd numbers. Nothing really divisible by 4. We are not going to be scared of this. 4 does not fit into 3. 4 does fit into 30 though. 28 is the closest, which of course, as we learnt earlier, is 7. And then we've got 2 left over. Yes, 30 take away 28 is 2. 4 fits into 20 exactly 5 times, no problem there. 4 does not fit into 1. Don't forget Dennis. 4 fits into 17, much like this one here. Fits into 16 4 times, with 1 left over. By this point you'd be saying, oh, if there's 1 left over, I know what it's going to be. It's going to be 2 5, so I could skip all this, but let's go through the process. 4 fits into 10 twice with 2 left over. 4 fits into 20 5 times. So 3001.7, very awkward looking number, divided by 4, 750.425. You'll notice there's a bit of a similarity in the leftovers there. Okay, looking at this one here, hopefully you've had the common sense to pause them as you go, but if you haven't, don't worry, try this one. Obviously the number is way less than 1, and we're dividing this already small number by 4, so our answer is similarly going to be tiny. Have a go, see what you come up with. Right, assuming that you paused the video to have a crack at it. 4 fits into 0 no times. We can do that straight away. Now we're into our tenths, hundredths, thousandths, tens of thousands, that sort of thing. It gets small real fast. 4 fits into 4 once. Does not fit into 1. But it does fit into 13. 4 times 3 is 12, so 3 times with 1 left over. 4 fits into 19. It does, not very neatly, but it does fit into 16 4 times. 19 take away 16 gives you 3 left over, right? So you can put a 3 there, put in a few zeros, give yourself some space. 4 fits into 30, 28. Oh no, not this again. Fits in 7 times into 28 with 2 left over. 4 fits into 20 exactly 5 times, and you'll see that 7 5 is there, 7 5. Now my very tiny number 4.4139 divided by 4 gives me 0.103475. What? It's a complicated little number, but you can easily do it if you just keep to the pattern and follow the same rule that you did with any of the other numbers. It's not too bad. Now, double check. Yes, of course. We had 0.4139 divided by 4. Pretty sure that's a close match. Well done, you guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that was a little bit informative. There's always more to learn about these things, but do find the worksheet, challenge yourself, write your own questions, see what happens. Take a risk. If it doesn't work out, see if you can figure out why it didn't work out. Okay guys, have a lovely day and we will see you later. Bye.